Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Brandon. Welcome back to Marotta Media. So, as I said in my last review of Beetlejuice, I'm not really gonna rush to put these videos out. I will just get to them when I get to them. And honestly, it's taken a big weight off my shoulders. Because in reality, there's no way I could just come home from seeing a movie, get all my thoughts in order, write a script, shoot a video, export it, edit it, animate it, and post it. It's a lot of work, okay? Because the movie I'm going to be discussing in today's video came out about a month ago, but obviously I'm just now getting around to talking about it. But since it's October and we're only a few weeks away from Halloween, I thought that this would be the perfect movie to review during spooky season. That movie being the body horror flick, The Substance. The Substance tells the story of an aging celebrity named Elizabeth Sparkle, played by Demi Moore. And on her 50th birthday, Elizabeth is fired from her famous aerobic show because of her age. The network citing that they want someone a little bit more youthful. And with her career dwindling, Elizabeth hears about this black market drug known as the Substance. And what this drug does is it creates a younger, more beautiful, and ideal version of yourself. But there are rules to be followed and a balance must be maintained, which leads to some pretty insane scenarios in this movie. I had first heard about The Substance when it premiered at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year, and I think at the festival it even won Best Screenplay if I'm remembering correctly. And when I had heard about this movie, everybody was saying that it is a wild ride, it's intense, it's gory. And when I hear things like that, I try to temper my expectations because I say to myself, there's no way that it's actually that insane. That wasn't the case with The Substance. This might be the most insane and wild movie that I have watched all year, and it's not even close. And I loved it. First, I need to give major props to the actors, especially the main trio of this movie. Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid are all stupendous in this. Each of them play their characters very well, but honestly, I just need to praise the casting choices themselves. Because Demi Moore is very similar to that of her character Elizabeth Sparkle. Demi Moore was a huge star in the 80s when she was a member of the Brat Pack, appearing in movies like St. Elmo's Fire. And then in the 90s, she became even more famous, becoming the highest paid actress in the world. Now, I'm not saying that she's fading into obscurity, but she is definitely not as famous as she once was. And for her to play a celebrity that was once on top of the world and is now seeing her career go down the drain, I think that is a genius casting choice. And for the younger, more ideal version of herself to be played by Margaret Qualley, a person who is easily on the up and up, who has also starred in some other movies this year that I really like Drive Away Dolls and Kinds of Kindness. Yes, I actually liked Drive Away Dolls. But Margaret Qualley is a great actor, and she is easily becoming one of the best, most in-demand young actors working today. And I also will give props to Dennis Quaid, because Dennis Quaid plays a very sleazy Hollywood executive very well, and his character's name is Harvey. Gee, I wonder who inspired this character. And it was a great replacement because originally this character was supposed to be played by Ray Liotta, which I could also see working very well, but unfortunately Ray Liotta passed away, when was that, 2 years ago? But I got off on a tangent there because aside from these genius casting choices, I think this movie does a phenomenal job of showing the contrast between Elizabeth's life and Sue's life, Sue being Margaret Qualley's character. Elizabeth's life is very monotonous and boring and depressing. You could tell that this is a woman that is struggling with the fact that she's getting older and she just wishes that she was young again. And Sue's life, on the other hand, is a non-stop party. From a technical standpoint, this movie is also nothing short of amazing. The production design was also beautiful. A lot of it looked kind of futuristic in a way, and it reminded me a lot of something you would see in a Stanley Kubrick movie. The sound design is also incredible because, let me tell you, you hear some very disgusting things in this movie. Just sounds that are not normal sounding, but they were pretty incredible to listen to. And without getting into spoilers, I will say that this movie has some very, very impressive makeup. If you've seen the movie, you absolutely know what I'm talking about. But like I said, I tempered my expectations when it came to the intensity of this movie's body horror because people were really hyping it up. But trust me when I tell you, the body horror in this movie is actually very intense and gnarly. So much so that there were actually a few times where I had to look away or watch the movie like this through my fingers. Because it does get pretty nasty, and there are some things in this movie that I saw that I really wish I could unsee. But this isn't just a body horror movie, because The Substance tackles a multitude of issues. There is a lot to unpack here, and the movie truly has a lot to say. It's definitely an allegory on Hollywood and the entertainment industry as a whole, and how the industry kind of throws you off to the side when you're not seen as profitable anymore. The ridiculous beauty standards that society places on people, in this case particularly women, and how people struggle with the fact that they're getting older and they're not the young, beautiful self that they once believed they were, as well as the dangers of trying to change yourself not only to please yourself, but those around you, and how it can really create something truly horrific. Wink, wink. And all of it leads to an absolutely bonkers final act. And I'm not trying to oversell it, because I truly believe that what I'm telling you is 100% true. The last 30 to 40 minutes of this movie contains some of the most insane things that I have ever seen in any movie I've ever watched. My mouth was agape for a good majority of it. I was that stunned by what I was watching. In terms of things that I didn't quite like about The Substance, I do think that this movie was very repetitive, especially at the beginning. It's very slow, and it definitely takes its time to get going, which I appreciated, but it felt like it just took a little bit too long. We just constantly see the same things happen again and again, and I'm like, okay, is this gonna get a little bit more interesting anytime soon? And believe me, it absolutely does, but just the beginning of it takes its sweet time getting there. And even though I said this movie does not rely solely on the body horror, when it does rely on that, it is very heavy and overly reliant on shock value. There are some things that you see that aren't really there for any kind of purpose other than to make the audience squirm. This movie clearly does not have the audience's best interests in mind, and honestly, I kind of admired that, because this movie will most likely not give you what you were expecting or hoping for. Because something else that's kind of a complaint I have with the movie, but kind of not, is that I very much prefer subtlety when it comes to a movie's message. If you're trying to tackle a very heavy-handed topic, then I would prefer you do it with as much subtlety as possible. Because there are times where movies are so ham-fisted and it just beats you over the head with what it's trying to say. And I just don't really like movies like that and basically just tell the audience what it's trying to say because it believes that it's so important and you're too stupid to comprehend it. A prime example would be Alex Garland's Men. That movie has the subtlety of a sledgehammer, and I did not like it. But The Substance is a little bit different. This movie makes it very clear early on that it has little to zero interest in being subtle. This movie is very brash and in your face, and like a lot of things that this movie does, I can do nothing but respect it. Because like I said, the movie makes it clear very early on that it has no interest in being subtle with what it's trying to say. It wants to be as heavy-handed as possible. If the movie was subtle all throughout and then it gets very heavy towards the end, then that would have bothered me, but it was heavy all throughout. So I'm happy that the movie stayed consistent. But this is still the craziest movie I've watched this year, and one of the craziest movies I've seen in recent memory, that's for damn sure. I will truly never forget watching this movie for the first time. This is a movie I would absolutely watch again, and I would show this to my friends who consider themselves fans of horror. But just be warned, it is a little bit intense, because I don't get too squeamish about much, but this movie made me very squeamish in moments. But this was a wild ride, and I think that this would make for a great watch around Halloween time. Overall, I'd give The Substance an 8 out of 10. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching my review of The Substance. If you guys saw this movie, let me know what you thought about it. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was overrated? And did you think it was a little bit too gross for your liking? If you guys like this review, be sure to hit that thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. If you want to see my previous reviews, I will link those right over here. Other than that, I hope you all have a tremendous rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.